Part 5. Srimati Radha Rani, whose appearance day hasn't even happened yet, and we're striving to become absorbed in thoughts of Srimati Radha Rani. The sections that we've covered so far, how many here attended virtually or otherwise the morning discussion on youthful pastimes? Okay. Don't miss out tomorrow morning because it's really involved. They're very nice, very sweet. Of course, Radharani is certainly sweet. So this is playful pastimes. How does it work? Let's go back towards the beginning, where Srimati Radharani, the tattva of Srimati Radharani, she is the pleasure potency, that portion of the Swarup Shakti or internal potency of Krishna. And from Radharani, just as from Krishna expands so many expansions, he's the Angsi, and there's so many Angsas and Kalas and so forth, and they're all his expansions. Similarly, Srimati Radharani is the Angsi from whom so many expansions come. And she, as within Krishna is everything, within Krishna is everything, right? Because he's the source of everything, so everything must be within him. Everything that exists is an expansion of him, and everything that exists is within him, and that he expands with, but he's not reduced by expanding, right? Om Purnam Adat Purnamidam. You know the verse? No. No? You must learn the verse. Tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow, okay. It's the invocation verse of Ishopanishad. Those of you that know can say with me. Om Purnam Madak Purnam Midam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. So you've heard it before?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So here it goes. 1 minus 1 is 1. And 1 plus 1 is 1. So there. That's transcendental math. Because Krishna is the original one, and you take away from Krishna any number of ones, and he's still one. And same with Srimati Radharani. She expands and expands and expands, and she's still one. And her expansions act according to her will, just as Krishna's expansions, they're the Shaktiman, and so they act in harmony with Krishna's will. Everything moves by Krishna's will. He doesn't have to lift the little finger of his left hand to lift Govardhan Hill. Because everything moves by his will. But he performed pastimes as if he's doing something. And Radharani performs pastimes as if she's doing something. And it's just, the title here, as you see on the screen, is playful, so it's Leela. It says Krishna, and Krishna's energy is moving. You can think of it this way. Here's a nice way to think of it. A river is flowing, and sometimes there's a wave. All the time there's a wave. And sometimes the wave will rise, and other waves will hit that wave, and the other sides, another wave will hit that wave, and then the wave will subside. It's just the flow of the water. And then And Krishna's pastimes keep moving like that. It's just his energy is moving according to his will, and his will is to enjoy his own potencies, his Swarup Shakti. And Radha Rani is one portion, Hladini Shakti is one portion, an aspect of his Swarup Shakti, and there's his Chit Shakti and there's his Sandini Shakti. And that makes everything that's of the spiritual world. And the waves keep moving. And the waves keep moving. And the waves keep moving. There's no beginning. There's no middle or end. They just keep moving. And this morning, we heard about youthful pastimes. Now we're going to hear about playful pastimes. There's seemingly no purpose to it at all, except play. Now, where do we, children or people have, they like to be, have leisure time and do things that not necessarily amount to, like get money or get a career or, just driving through Texas, like so much construction, gosh. Build a house, build an empire, out in the middle of nowhere. And it's kaboom, it's growing like anything. The purpose in Krishna's playful pastimes is enjoying. And with whom does he enjoy? He enjoys with the expansions of his potencies, and chief amongst them. We heard this the first evening. It's Srimati Radharani and her expansions. So let's take a look at a nice chart. Here's a nice chart that shows Srimati Radharani's family tree. We heard that she has an elder brother and a younger sister. A little clarification from something that was mentioned the second day, because somebody asked a question about it. Somebody was paying attention asked a question about it. And Radharani held an elder brother, but her parents mentioned here Vrishabhanu, it's spelled funny, but Vrishabhanu and Kirtida, they wanted a daughter. I've not come across anything that says what's the age difference between Radharani and Sridham, because Sridham was like a very good friend with Krishna, and we know how the age difference between Radha and Krishna. 14. Fortnight. 2 weeks, right? So Sridham couldn't be too much older. I mean, somewhat older, but not too much older. And a younger sister, Ananga Manjari. And over there, on the left side of your screen, you see Vrishabhanu had 4 brothers. Now I had to add one because it was missing one. Chandrabhanu was the father of whom? Chandravali. So that since Vrishabhanu was Radharani's father and Chandrabhanu was Chandravali's father, that means they're first cousins, right? And they're like super rivals. Not exactly like Duryodhana. But anyway, we're going to hear some tonight and tomorrow morning about Chandravali. And then look at the very bottom left, you see Shukada. That's the grandmother of Radharani. And over on the right side, we're going to hear her name. The grandmother, the maternal grandmother is Mukara. Mukara, we're going to hear her name a few times, so get used to it. And that's Kirtida's line, and then there's Rishabhanu's line, and then there's Srimati Radharani. Here's Chandravali. Look at this. We spent some time texting back and forth with Krishna on this topic. So at Chandravali stays with her husband, whose name was Govardhan Malla, who was a resident at Karala or Karala Gram. Her father is Chandrabhanu. Her mother is Indumati. The father of Chandravali, that's Chandrabhanu, is one of 5 brothers. The eldest of the 5 is King Vrishabhanu. There are also Chandrabhanu, Ratnabhanu, Subhanu, and Sri Bhanu. Lots of Bhanus. Their bodily effulgence is equal to the sun. So they had good names. Bhanu, this one and that one. Along with Govardhan Malla, Chandravali sometimes stays at Sakhi Stali. Now, where is Sakhi Stali? I'll tell you where Sakhi Stali is, because of Govardhan Parikrama. Sakhi Stali is on the west side of Govardhan Hill as you're going from Punch, from the bottom, towards Uddhavakund and Radhakund. And it's just northwest a little bit of Govardhan town. Govardhan town on the east side, as you find Mandasi Ganga, and on the west side, there's like lots and lots and lots of shops, and it's really difficult with the Govardhan Parikrama because it's pavement and stones, and it's really hard. But Sakhi Stali is over in that direction, a little bit north, a little bit west. And it's that Sakhi Stali place, if you remember, where Raghunath Das received from one of his disciples a very large leaf cup from a tree that grew at Sakhi Stali. And when he found out that the tree was at Sakhi Stali, he threw the thing away. Never get leaves from that place again. He's a left-winger. He's an ardent follower of Radha Rani, and thus in a mood. It was spontaneous. It wasn't just for fun. It was he's really attached. Raghunath Das, really attached to Radha Rani. There's a really nice, I don't know what you call it, stanza or poem or an expression of Raghunath Das that says 2 parts. Oh, it's really sweet. So I'll say it tomorrow morning in its verbatim form. But the essence is, if somebody offered me something, oh gosh, I can't remember, something that's not in relation to Radharani, I would, if Krishna, this is Raghunath Das, if Krishna sent me a personal invitation to join him in Dwarka, I'd refuse the invitation. He's attached to Braja. He doesn't want to be with Krishna outside of Braja. If Krishna sent me a personal invitation, I wouldn't go. But if for somehow or another Radharani went there and she sent me an invitation, I'd fly as fast as Garuda. He's very attached to Srimati Radharani. Nice poetic way of describing. But it wasn't just poetic, it's how he felt. It was his heart. Deeply, profoundly attached to Srimati Radharani. So along with Govardhan Malla, Chandravali sometimes stays at Sakhi Stali and sometimes at Karala. The Yuteshwaris, Yuta means groups and Ishwari means leaders of groups. The Yuteshwaris, headed by Padma, stay at this place. So Padma is to Chandravali like Lalita and Vishaka are to Radha. She's her chief whip. Padma. And she stirs things in favor of Chandravali. We hear some more. The plot will thicken, you'll see. Abhimanyu's mother, Jatila, and that's Govardhan Malla, so that's Chandravali's husband. So Govardhan's mother, Barunda, again and again placed obstacles in the way of Radha and Chandravali, these two crushed jewels of adolescent girls. So we don't hear so much about Chandravali's mother-in-law, but she does things. We hear much more about Jatila because we hear more about Radha Rani. So here's some of the playful pastimes. And we're going to start with a celebrated one that you all know very well. And we know it in ISKCON as the Pearl Tree, or the Pearl Pastime. But it's a book written by Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das, we mentioned, he's not known for writing books, but what he wrote was really amazing. This one's really amazing. It's Mukta Charita. Mukta Charita is the title of the book, Pearl Pastime. So here's a little detail. For the purpose, this is his writing, for the purpose of increasing the rapturous delight of those divine persons, the celebrated devotees of the Lord, who are conversant with the science of the mellows of devotion, I will now churn the ocean, known as Sri Vrindavan, that the waves of nectar produced therefrom, namely the wonderful character and qualities of Sri Hari, thus causing the devotees to drown therein. So may you all drown in the ocean of nectar of this wonderful pastime. And the book opens in Dwarka. And in Dwarka, Satyabhama is asking Krishna, the way that it's paraphrased simply, Satyabhama says, is it true? I heard that when you were in Vrindavan, you grew pearls from a pearl tree. Is that true? Krishna smiled, said, yes. Can you describe to me? So that's the conventional way of describing. Here's what the text actually says. Nata, my Lord, were the pearls set in my bracelets produced originally as the fruits of a creeper? What sanctified country is it that produces such fascinating creepers? Sri Vrindavan Dham. Just hearing this Vrindavan pastime from his dear wife Satyabhama, look at that expression on Krishna's face. Satyabhama's question awoke within the mind of Sri Krishna remembrance of that wonderful pastime, which in turn caused him to feel very afflicted in his heart. But he didn't show it. Externally, however, he smiled as he began his reply, Priye, dearest one, the time has long passed since pearls were produced from creepers. At present, all pearls come from oysters. Please, so she wants to know. In Gokula, one day during the month of Kartik, the Diparnalika, so Diwali, festival was going on at Sri Govardhan. At that time, the residents of Gokula were carefully preparing all kinds of decorations and ornaments which were just suitable for celebrating that festival. And there's a long section that describes what the adults were doing to prepare themselves for Diwali. This and that, and details and celebration and decorations and big festivities and joy and mirth, and really nice. And then the young gopis, girls, amongst them, the daughter of Vrishabhanu, Sri Radhika, was seated within a courtyard, constructed from Madhavi creepers, on the banks of the lake known as Malyahara. So Malyahara Kund. Have you been to Radhakund? Have you been to Radhakund? Who's been to Radhakund? Oh, fantastic. Have you ever seen Malyahara Kund near Radhakund? It looks like an algae pond. It's not like, it doesn't look anything special today. I mean, at least a few years ago when I last saw it. But during the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, it must have been very nice. Malyahara, stolen garlands. So the girls, in the company of Sakis, Radha was preparing to make various ornaments from a collection of the most exquisite pearls. Krishna came to know. Coming to know of these events from the tidings of a young parrot who was very aptly named Vichakkana, very clever or very experienced, I immediately proceeded to that place in eager curiosity. So parrots have a big role. Anyone that's been with Dinabandhu during yatras knows all about Vrinda and her thousands of parrots that carry messages that arrange Krishna's pastimes, because that's what Vrinda does. And she has her message carriers. Now people, it's a cell phone or 2 or 3. But in Vrindavan, it's parrots. Far nicer. So here's some nice paintings with Krishna and parrots. There's a yellow parrot. Here's some green parrots. Look, it's the same image, but one Krishna's just looking at you and the other he's got this nice smile. Upon my arrival, I submitted with great solicitude before Radha and her friends my petition for a collection of pearls with which I might decorate the receptacles of my forest love, my 2 cows celebrated with the names Hangsi and Harini. Now, when King Vrishabhanu had cows, we all know how many cows he had, right? 9 lakhs? 900,000 cows? 900,000 cows? Moo. But of all those cows, 2 were Krishna's favorite, Hangsi and Harini, and he wanted to decorate them with pearls. And requested the gopis, they had many nice pearls. Hearing my request, the girls barely glanced at me and remained silent with seeming indifference. At this point I laughed and addressed them once again. Hey, Sakis, because you have all recently attained the priceless touchstone of adolescent beauty, is this pride of yours blocking your ears? Please hear for a moment the matter which I am presenting before you, and which is amiable to you all. Lolita stepped forward. She's kind of a spicy talker. These extremely costly pearls, which are fit to be worn by the king's queens, are now deemed as being just suitable for your cows and she-buffaloes. Oh, really? I know. Why shouldn't we just give you all the pearls so that you can decorate your cows? Sarcastic. Krishna. Oh, you are yourselves all very attractive ornaments. You don't have to give me all of the pearls, but at least you should give me some of them, which factually are just perfect for decorating the 4 horns of these 2 most favorite cows of mine. There's another nice painting. I like this one. Hangsi and Harini. They love him very much, and he loves them very much. So what did the gopis have to say? Well, they have many pearls, but Lalita took the pearls of all the sakis, and while showing them to me with a big smile on her face, moved them around and around, saying, "Hey, Krishna, alas, what shall I do? There is not even one pearl here fit for your cows." I replied, "Oh, Lalite, oh, most clever one, just forget it. Henceforward, you will never be able to call me a miser." But Krishna wasn't discouraged. So what did Krishna do? He went to Mother Jasoda. After reproaching them, I immediately came to my mother and told her, "Janani, please give me some pearls. I want to plant them in the fields." And Mother Jasoda didn't take him seriously, and he insisted, "No, no, no. I go with my father regularly. We dig little holes in the ground and put seeds in this ground and cover the seeds and water the seeds, and all kinds of things grow." And Mother Jasoda said, "Lala, pearls don't grow from the ground. They come from the sea." But he was persistent. I requested her again and again in this way, and finally, after listening to my eager requests, Mother laughed loudly and replied, "Vatsa, my darling, pearls will never sprout if you plant them." But you know how little children can be sometimes. Very, very persistent, determined, nagging, and whatever else. I said, "Janani, you must give me some pearls. Within 3 days, they will definitely sprout. This you will be able to see with your own eyes." Out of love, she agreed. Seeing my intense eagerness, Mother couldn't refuse me, and so gave me a collection of many of her pearls. There she is, giving many of her pearls to Krishna, who is very happy to receive them. So what did he do? While I was busily engaged in seeding my freshly prepared beds with pearls, some gopis happened to pass that way and made their presence known by their loud laughter. This I nevertheless managed to completely ignore. So there's a detail that's missing is he went by the side of the river Jamuna and took underneath the shade of a tree and made a nice little pearl garden and used Jamuna water to water the pearl trees, at least the seeds. And then he decided to go to the gopis and ask there for some milk to water his pearl trees. Hereafter, I devised a plan whereby the gopis would be induced to come to me to beg for pearls. And it worked. I sent some of my friends to them to request some milk for the purpose of watering my pearl plants. And he knew what they would say. So here's the gopis with lots of milk products, but not a yes. Instead, they gave a no. A nice no. Of course, they only laughed very loudly as they replied, "Our milk is not suitable for such a noble purpose. Rather, you should use the milk of those cows for whom you are going to such great lengths to procure a quantity of pearls." And so, accepting their advice, we then proceeded to water those plants with abundant milk from our own house on a daily basis, all so that they might see that we were doing so. little kids, right? And sure enough, from the ground came these little shoots. And Krishna was very excited. He told the gopis, come see my pearl garden. And the gopis laughed, said, those aren't pearl trees, those are thorn trees. But sure enough, on the fourth day, those multicolored and most fragrant pearls began to sprout. Seeing this, I was extremely delighted and ran to tell Mother. Here's a pearl tree with purple pearls. Very colorful and very fragrant. So he brought his mother. Catching hold of her sari, I brought her there and showed her the new sprouts. She was quite surprised and simply exclaimed, what is this? Considering the whole matter within her mind, she returned to Vraja, full of suspicion. And then the gopis. However, when the gopis received this news, they simply laughed among themselves, saying, only ferocious creepers of envy were sprouting thorn trees. In the space of only a few days, a heavenly scent which drove the bees mad began to emanate from the flowers that had now bloomed, thus pervading the whole Gokula with a fragrant perfume and bestowing upon the gopis an inexpressible joy. Pearls of different colors, pearls of different fragrances. It's pretty an amazing garden because pearls don't grow from gardens. All of those pearl fruits assume such an uncommon beauty, more so in fact than the 8 kinds of original pearls from which they derived their existence. Now, it's a little footnote in Raghunath Das's Muktacharita describing the 8 sources of pearls once upon a time. Now it's oysters, but pearls come from oysters, conch shells, wild boar's heads, elephant's heads, king cobra's heads, bamboo stems, clouds, and fish heads. Don't ask me to explain. Seeing that all of these creepers had produced pearls, the Vrajbasis were amazed. Specifically, the gopis were especially dumbfounded with astonishment. They now came every day to see these wonderful plants. They then began to consult amongst one another. Hey, Sakis, it's now a well-known fact amongst us that Krishna will never give us any of his pearls, because previously when he requested from us both pearls and milk, we refused to comply. Therefore, why should he now give us his pearl fruits? But what does it matter? It's not that we didn't witness the procedure for growing pearls. In fact, we have seen exactly how it is done. Therefore, giving up our lack of courage, why shouldn't we begin a pearl field which is at least twice the size of Krishna's? Competitive spirit. Now comes wise Lalita. The supremely intelligent Lalita addressed the Sakis, my dear friends, who are now overwhelmed by insanity. These sorts of miraculous activities, such as picking up Sri Govardhan and producing pearls from the earth, marvelous deeds which are difficult even for demigods to perform, are nevertheless accomplished without any effort by Krishna. Even though you are aware of all these things, still you are desirous of persuading yourselves to undertake this work, though none of you possess any such mantras or magic potions. This will, in the end, most certainly amount to nothing more than the cause of your falling into the ocean of embarrassment and ridicule. Contrarian Nandimukhi replied, Sakis, please don't think that anything is impossible as regards this matter, because it is all due to the natural influence of the soil. Brijbasi's soil is the secret. In Vrindavan, golden trees have grown and are growing visible before our eyes, with new twigs made of coral, fresh green emerald leaves, buds of diamonds and pearls, and fruits made of rubies. Therefore, pearls are planted in these fields of Vrajabhumi and are seen to produce creepers which bear pearl fruits. Then what is so strange or wonderful about that? She's contrarian. She's stirring because she knows Krishna's plan. Krishna's plan is to get them in trouble. So Radharani buys into Nandimukhi's idea, and she encourages them to go to their homes without their mothers knowing, take some pearls. We're going to gather a whole big amount of pearls and make it double the size of Krishna's pearl garden. So off they go. Radharani requested her Sakis to secretly borrow a large supply of pearls from their mothers, and the Sakis also started pearl cultivation. It didn't turn out so well. They watered their plants with all the milk and ghee from their homes. And the milk and ghee supply was finished. But their field only grew thorn bushes. Uh-oh. It didn't take many more days, however, before the plants in Radharani's and her friends' fields, as well as the ones of the gopis, other gopis' fields, clearly exhibited symptoms of being thorny creepers. Problema. Coming to know of this myself, I conveyed my congratulations by way of a few slightly sarcastic remarks. I heard that your fields have produced many wonderful pearls now. So, since I'm dearly beloved of all of you, I hope that you will send with my friends, as a presentation to me, the first pearls produced from your gardens. Thereafter, I began to decorate all of my friends, the cows and calves, the she-buffaloes who pulled the carts, the sheep along with their lambs, the female goats and their kids, and the female monkeys and peacocks with pearl garlands and pearl ornaments. That's a lot of cows, that's a lot of monkeys, that's a lot of peacocks, that's a lot of goats. Here's one of the cows. And look, there's a peacock with a pearl necklace. And there's a monkey by Krishna's foot with a pearl necklace, and all the monkeys in Vrindavan with pearl necklaces. And behind them, that's the pearl, one of the pearl trees. So the gopis had a gopi huddle. What are we going to do? We're in big trouble. Radha Rani specifically was in big trouble. She authorized them to take pearls from their parents' storeroom. And they have to put the pearls back. They're not going to get pearls from Krishna. What to do, what to do, what to do? So they decided, one of the biggest parts of this book is the bartering activities. Vaishyas, the gopis, and Krishna bartering back and forth, back and forth. So this doesn't go through all of that. After some more deliberation, it was decided that Chandramukhi, who was very cunning by nature, should take a sufficient amount of gold and go to Krishna to bring back the pearls. they took their ornaments and jewelry and this and that and put it in one place, and that was the bartering instrument. Chandramukhi and Kanchanalata arrived at the garden house within the pearl fields, carrying with them an abundant quantity of gold. There the two are, Chandramukhi and Kanchanalata. They addressed, "Hey, Subal, we have heard from reliable sources that you are desirous of selling your new pearl crop." Vaishya talk. "Therefore, please accept all of this gold, which is of the purest quality, and give us in exchange the proper value by presenting us with a choice selection of your pearls." Well, Krishna's not going to say yes. First, Krishna refused to sell any pearls to the gopis. After discussing and deliberating with his friends, Krishna agreed to sell the pearls at a price that he would quote. And then he asked Subal. Subal asked, "What price do you want to quote, Krishna?" There's very, very sweet. With a playful smile on my lips, I replied, "If the chief amongst the battalion, Sri Lalitaji, is able, by exhibiting the prowess of the most vigorous amongst us, to even pin me, the lion among men, down in a wrestling match, in hand-to-hand combat, then I will come before her as a woman, appearing just like a submissive and dependent wife. I will sing the glories of her manliness and virility. I will in this way become her servant. This is the small payment I will receive from her." Subal asked, "Now how will Lalita, who is softer than the softest young girl, contest in battle such a wild and untamable character as you?" My friend Subal, you have spoken truthfully. Most of the time, and in most cases, I am as you have described me. But not in front of this girl Radha. Since from the very beginning, in the most forceful and intense manner, this Radha, who is so strongly wonderful in all her diverse ways, and wise and intelligent, has on many occasions, simply with her eyebrows, which are like two fierce bows, completely stunned me. He's conquered by Srimati Radha Rani. So the talk goes on and on, back and forth, back and forth. Finally, Krishna says, "Not all the gold that you have is worth even one of my pearls." So Chandramukhi and Kanchanalata are very disappointed. They start to walk away. Krishna says, "Wait a minute." He reaches in his bag, pulls out a broken pearl. So you can give this to Radha Rani. No payment required. So the two gopis go back and report to Radharani what happened, and she's in big anxiety. And Krishna knows she's in big anxiety. So Krishna starts to feel compassion for Radharani's anxiety. So he decides, let me make one nice pearl necklace as a gift for Radharani. And he became so happy with that pearl necklace for Radharani that he decided to put it in a gold box. And then he decided to engrave her name on the outside of the gold box. And he was so pleased with that gift for Radharani. He said, her principal Sakhi should each have a pearl necklace in a gold box with their name engraved on the gold box. So he came and brought this gift with a gold box with Radha Rani's name engraved on it and gave it to her. And gave to the other principal gopis. And their hearts melted. When their hearts melted, there was a free exchange of so many pearls. There were so many pearls. He decorated all the monkeys and all the peacocks and all the cows in Vrindavan, as his father's cows, with pearl necklaces. So they were freely distributing pearls to the peacocks and to the swans. So Radharani felt, let us do something in reciprocation for Krishna. So the reciprocation was, they arranged a big feast. Big feast for Krishna, and a big feast for all the cowherd boys, and they all lived happily ever after. So now Krishna is narrating all of this to Satyabhama. Now we're back in Dwarka. Lamenting with tears streaming from his eyes, Sri Krishna became completely overwhelmed while remembering his Vrindavan pastimes and fell down on the earth. He again and again called out, Pran Balabe Satyabhama, you please become Sri Radha, the only medicine that can save me now. Satyabhama said, Hey, Prananath, oh, you are the one and only life of the residents of Braja. All glories to you, all glories to you. Please be patient, be comforted. This is the final. This is Raghunath Das Goswami, a painting, where he's holding in his hand the Govardhan Shila that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him. With bunches of straw in my teeth, I pray again and again that I might repeatedly take birth as a particle of dust at the lotus feet, Sri Padma of Srila Rupa Goswami. He writes this in 3 books. He wants to be a dust, particle of dust at the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami. This is his mood. Raghunath Das. I have been incited and excited by his nectarian direction to prepare this bouquet of flowers called Mukta Charita. Only by his teaching has this become possible. By this bouquet of flowers, Mukta Charita, that has somehow or other been astonishingly arranged by me, may the followers of Sri Rupa Goswami decorate their ears and in so doing shower some of their affection on me. Life after life, may I obtain here in Vraja the association of Krishnadas Kaviraj, on the strength of which I was able to make known the most wonderful story about a superior type of pearl. Now, what was the relationship between Krishnadas Kaviraj and Raghunath Das? Raghunath Das was elder, but he's looking up to Krishnadas, who is his junior. His humility is overwhelming. But Krishnadas Kaviraj was Kaviraj. He was a poet. And Raghunath Das wasn't a poet. He was a sadhu. So we're getting the hint here that Krishnadas Kaviraj coached him somehow or other how to write such an eloquent and elegant writing as Mukta Charita. Okay, that's pastime number 1 of the playful pastimes. And now here's another one that I'm sure most of you know. And it's no problem hearing it again, and again, and yet again, and yet again. And just churning the nectar again and again makes it even sweeter. It's not like it gets stale. So let's hear a little bit about the history of Manasi Ganga. You probably all know the history of Manasi Ganga. The history of Manasi Ganga occurred just after Krishna killed Vatsasura. Vatsasura appeared as a calf, sent by Kamsa, and hid himself, concealed himself amongst the calves. Krishna immediately detected, this isn't a calf, this is a demon. So he went right straight to the calf, grabbed the calf by his hind legs, and started whirling him around and around and around and around. And the calf transformed himself again into the demon, Vatsa. When Krishna realized this, he killed the demon. So he killed the demon, but the cowherd boy says, you killed the calf, so we're not going to play with you until you take bath in the Ganges to purify yourself. But the Ganges was very far away. Krishna didn't want to leave Vrindavan. So what did Krishna do? He manifested the Ganges right there in Vrindavan from his mind. Thus, Manasi Ganga. And he took bath in Manasi Ganga, and now the cowherd boys would play with him again. Now it's said in many places, the Manasi Ganga was much bigger than Manasi Ganga today. Manasi Ganga went from where it is today all the way down to Anior. That's like several miles. It was really big, a big lake. Now it's much, much more small. It's still big, but it's much more small. And what happened next is, while hearing some Harikatha, Nanda Maharaj heard the glories of the Ganges. He heard a katha where there was an incident where Garuda was carrying a snake in his beak, and the tail of the snake touched the Ganges, and immediately the serpent transformed into a Vaikuntha personality, and Garuda was amazed. So Garuda carried that Vaikuntha personality all the way back to Vaikuntha. And hearing this Harikatha, Nanda Maharaj decided that he and the elder Vrajvasis should go at once to take their sacred bath in the Ganges. Krishna heard about this. So he encouraged his father, no need. Ganga is right here in Vrindavan. He smiled. Ganga is not right here in Vrindavan. Jamuna is here in Vrindavan, but Ganga is not here. He said, it's true, it's true. Come with me, I'll show you. So he took him to Manasi Ganga, and as he stood by the shore of Manasi Ganga, then Ganga Devi herself appeared, riding on the back of her crocodile carrier. Nanda Maharaj was convinced. That was very impressive. And so he called off his trip to Ganga and continued taking his occasional sacred bath in Manasi Ganga. Now, the boat pastime has to do with Krishna taking the role of a boatman. And that this particular photograph, is the structure all the way to the left. Let's see if I can do the laser pointer thing. This structure right here is the structure where at one time there was a boat ghat. Over here is Chakaleshwara Mahadev. Some of you have been to Vrindavan, you know where that place is. Chakaleshwara Mahadev. Very special place. Sanatana Goswami, pastime, the mosquitoes. And he was going to leave, and Lord Shiva came to him and said, don't leave, I'll make the mosquitoes go away. Chakaleshwara Mahadev, that place. It's right here, right here. So go along the path and come over here, and there's where the boat ghat was, during Krishna's time. So here's the little boat. And the gopis had to cross Manasi Ganga to get to the place where their market was. They had their milk products, and they had to take the milk products to the market. When they got to the boat ghat, there was only one old rickety boat. And the old rickety boat had only one shabby-looking boatman. It's Krishna, in disguise as a boatman. So they negotiated the price of what it would take to get them across Manasi Ganga, and off they went. And as the boat started to ply across Manasi Ganga, Krishna yawned. Going to have to take a little nap. And then he woke up and he was really hungry and he had to feed himself. And the gopis started complaining, let's go. We have to get to the marketplace. And by Krishna's divine arrangement, suddenly a big storm came. And lots of waves. And the boat had holes. And the boat was starting to sink in the midst of this storm. And he said, there's too much weight in this boat, you're going to have to throw your milk products over the side of the boat. And then they were still sinking. Now you have to throw your ornaments over the side of the boat. You see, they're taking their ornaments off and things like that. And then he says, your clothes are wet, you have to throw your clothes over the side of the boat. That was it. They grabbed Krishna, we'll throw you over the side of the boat. You get us to the other side, hurry up. And when they grabbed around Krishna, they felt his flute stuck in the back of his cloth. So Krishna laughed, and they laughed. The storm ended, and very quickly they plied their way to the other side of Manasi Ganga. But it was such a joyful experience that because they'd already thrown away all their milk products, they just went for a joyride for the rest of the evening. On the side of Manasi Ganga. So it's a very nice pastime, very celebrated pastime. And these are two playful pastimes, and it's only 8 o'clock. So tomorrow we'll discuss some more. That's what number 6 is, just says more. And they're very wonderful pastimes. So if you don't want a wonderful time, you don't have to attend to the morning class tomorrow. But if you'd like a wonderful time, please join us virtually or however you want to do it. And then I'm going to College Station for a program at Texas A&M tomorrow night. Then Radhastami in Austin. So let's see if there's some discussion. I see a lot of people here, and the discussion has been very nice the other evenings. Yes? Can you take the microphone and pass it over? Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So my question is, there was already Shyam Kund, so why did Krishna not just take bath there and instead had Manasi Ganga?
If you have a logical brain, it would just make sense. Just take bath there. But, it's a pastime, and his father was inspired to go to the Ganga, not to Shyamakund. So he manifested Manasi Ganga and took his bath there, because that's what the cowherd boy said, you have to take your bath in Ganga. So he took his bath there.
Thank you.
Pastime. We can have more than one ghat, that's quite okay. We see a young boy over here with his hand up, very enthusiastic.
Why?
You ready?
Yeah. Why does Krishna did not take all the forms? So
Why did Krishna do what?
Why did not put the storm off? Why is it waited and he's literally God? Why is he not doing anything?
He's a God. Why he did not do anything? Why he did not stop the storm?
Oh, he did. He started the storm. And then he stopped the storm. Because he wanted to make the gopis more attached to him. So he made a storm so there would be a difficulty, so they would become attached to him to rescue them from the storm. And then he took the storm away. Okay. Next. Someone? Gopal. How many you got, Gopal? 8. 8?
The first one. How did Bhan, Umadra, and Kusa get married, and who are their children or child?
What was his question?
No, in the Radha Rani's family hierarchy, it mentioned Bhanubhadra and Kusha, and he was asking who are their children. And
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Gopal, who are your children?
I have an uncle. Does that count?
You don't have any children? Not yet.
I'm still an uncle.
Okay.
Okay.
Uncle Gopal. Go ahead.
Next question. Why does Krishna have such a blue skin color?
Why not?
It just seems like he swallowed the sky or swallowed a thunderstorm.
He has many colors. He has many colors.
Yeah.
Rainbow. But his Shama, here's one Acharya gave the following answer. When you take all colors, you do painting, I'm sure. Take all colors and mix up all colors and mix them and mix them and mix them. What's the color look like? Black.
Black?
There's your answer.
That's
Next.
the same for red and green.
That's it. No.
Okay.
Next.
Why did Krishna name the cows Hamsi and Hadani?
He liked those names. Why were you named Gopal? They like the name.
That's why.
Yeah, you can ask them, but why did they name you Gopal? They like the name. Next.
Why did he want to plant pearls in the ground?
Why not? He was having fun. It was a playful pastime, and everyone was going to think, no way. And he was thinking, I'll show you. We'll make pearls come out of the ground.
They were thinking, no way. He was thinking, yes way.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Next. Don't put why in front of any further question.
Okay.
You can just delete those.
How many nicknames of Krishna are there, and what are
Unlimited. What's unlimited? There's no limit. There's Vishnu Sahasranam, but there's how many names of Krishna is unlimited, because his qualities are limited. The names identify his qualities and his pastimes and his associates, and there's no limit. There's no limit.
Okay.
Next.
Is the pearl tree that Krishna planted still there in Vrindavan?
Is which one?
The pearl tree that Krishna planted.
What?
The pearl tree that Krishna planted in Vrindavan.
No, it's not there.
Okay.
But you can look for it.
That I will do.
That's why I said it. Last one, right?
No, this is number 7 and then the last one.
Just one more. Just one more, Gopal.
Are all the things that were transcendental about Vrindavan still there?
What?
All the things that are transcendental about Vrindavan still there.
Were all...
Everything in Vrindavan is transcendental. Is that your question?
I'm meaning that when it was Krishna's time, are the things that...
Oh, it's still transcendental. It's eternal. Eternally transcendental.
Okay.
But you have to give the microphone up.
There's just one more question.
No, we're going to take the microphone from you. No.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, I was thinking, when we hear these pastimes, they're extremely sweet, and, to a mundane person, it's all, pastimes, like mundane pastimes. But as devotees, when we hear it, it's like establishing our connection with Krishna as a person. So
Yes.
Is that purificatory for us to develop a connection with Krishna?
Yes, and the fact that the facets of Krishna are without limit. He's fun, or he's joyful, and even in that joyfulness, it's very common. We'll hear a number of times tomorrow. But there's obstacles which he creates, and then he removes the obstacles in very creative ways. And it's his cleverness, it's his enjoyment. He has a great sense of humor and a great capacity to enjoy, including creating obstacles and removing obstacles, and giving happiness to his devotees, even when it may look like they're maybe in some distress, like the gopis, because they're pearls, and how are you going to get back the pearls to their mothers and so on. It's pastimes, playful pastimes.
And Maharaj, a little follow-up on that, if I may. Krishna is known as Akhila Rasamritamurti, or Rasaraj.
Yes.
So he is the embodiment of all rasas.
Yes.
And he emanates those.
Yes.
So in the life of a devotee, when we face some sort of, misery.
When we say what?
When we face some sort of misery, can we understand that, this is just one of Krishna's rasas that he is trying to...
It depends. It could be, our foolishness that causes misery too. And that's not rasa. That's something else. Your mother has her hand up.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. These pastimes are so wonderful. I'm hearing from you, this is the third time, I think. Every time, so nice. And I see that Krishna is enjoying more than us these all pastimes.
Yes.
I was wondering, in Goloka, these pastimes are not there. Does Krishna...
Why do you say?
I mean, they don't manifest the childhood pastimes there, or...
There's pastimes that are unmanifest and pastimes that are manifest. And we hear that the manifest pastimes are given to us so that we can hear, chant, and remember. However, in the spiritual world, the bhava is there, and that's everything. It's the everything having to do with the pastimes themselves. So there's nothing missing in Goloka Vrindavan. The ecstasy of joy of all variety is there. The pastimes may not occur, at least the childhood pastimes may not occur. But the bhava is there. So in that sense, one could make, sometimes the argument is made, or the logic is presented, that says, even better than Goloka is Boma Lila, Boma Vrindavan, because these very, very amazing childhood pastimes occur for everyone to see. So there's very sweet and very merciful. So let's just stay here, right? Wait a minute. Next, all the way in the back corner. Put your hand up so they know that you...
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances on glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Speak slowly and clearly.
Yes. Maharaj, my question is, as you were narrating Gautam, that when the Krishna brought the storm to bring the... to make the gopis attached to him.
Yes.
And then when they were there and...
You keep going, just keep going.
So when they were there, the storm went away. But we see in devotees' life too, Krishna, brings the storm.
Yes,
but the
he
storm
does.
might be so hard,
Yeah.
instead of getting attached, they may get attached from Krishna. So how do we understand that, Maharaj?
Well, Krishna is expert. He never puts you... This is one very nice purport. I like very much. It's you can look it up later. It's in relation to the Bali Maharaj challenge that Krishna put, or Vamana put him through. Prabhupada writes that Krishna will never put his devotee in a difficulty beyond their capacity to deal with that difficulty, and then Krishna will give them the strength to deal with that difficulty. But Krishna will never put you in a difficulty beyond your capacity.
So my doubt is, Maharaj, still that...
If you're a devotee, just that the key is to be a devotee.
Yeah, so how do we see so many...
How do you do what?
We see often that people leaving Krishna consciousness, so how do we reconcile?
Well, it's not due to Krishna put them in a difficulty that they couldn't handle. It has to do with a mind that's unsteady, and a heart that's unsteady, an orientation towards Krishna that's unsteady.
Okay. Thank you.
And it's the free will choice of a living entity to...
Hare Krishna Maharaj. My question is, I know Krishna, why would he put
Why?
in one of the in one of the pastime, he knows the gopi is delicate, she won't be able to fight. So why did he put a price like that to sell his pearls?
It was fun. She's not going to fight him. He's putting an obstacle that's insurmountable. So the other way was saying that all the gold that you have is not worth, in exchange, one of my pearls. Look, these pearls are so big. They're so colorful. They're even fragrant. All the gold that you have is not sufficient for even one of my pearls. It's another way of saying no. A clever way of saying no. By saying what he said. And she's not going to do that. But there are situations where they also tie Krishna up. It's a pastime. He has this over 2 more.
Maharaj, what was the cause of friction between Srimati Radharani and Chandravali?
The cause of what between Krishna and Radharani?
Friction.
Friction?
Or two camps. Why were they in two camps?
Oh, the two camps. Left wing, right wing. So the Radharani's group, then there's subgroups in her group, but Radharani's group, they're left wing. They talk back to Krishna. And he likes. They don't say talk back to him because it's insulting. He likes. And he inspires them to do like that. And then Chandravali is the right wing. They're very submissive. And and then Krishna will do things that cause them to be... Anyway, we're going to hear some more tomorrow about that. But that's the main distinction. It's same as among Krishna's queens. Some are very... Rukmini is super submissive. And Satyabhama is super sassy. Right? Have you read Brihad Bhagavatamrita?
I'm reading.
You're reading. Towards the end of part 1, Narada Muni is searching for the greatest recipient of Krishna's mercy. And when he finally gets to Dwaraka, he decides he wants to tell Krishna the circumstances created by Krishna, where he wants to explain to the queens what is his natural love for the residents of Vrindavan. So he calls all the queens to come, except one doesn't come, Satyabhama. So he insults her, scolds her, and he enjoys, and she enjoys having him enjoy. So it's just amongst the varieties of love, there are different varieties of love. I'll give a little example, like a contemporary example. For a number of years, I was serving in New York City along with my godbrother Sridhar Swami. Sridhar Swami celebrated for helping to build the Juhu temple and all of that. So he was, living in New York. We would have lunch, breakfast and lunch together every day. It was like really nice, really nice. So one time, Trivikram Swami was visiting. In a way that was shocking. It was insulting, the way that they were talking to each other. And it was like, what's going on? And they had such a kind of relationship with one another that it wasn't insulting. It was fun. They're having fun. Saying this, saying that, saying this, saying that, not taking it seriously. If anybody talked like that to another person, they would be insulted. And they were just like exchanging insults back and forth. And they saw my like, whoa. He said, this is how we talk to one another. We're having fun. So, I don't have a relationship with anybody like that. I speak insults and they speak insults back, and it's fun. Is the submissiveness of Radharani less than the submissiveness of Chandravali? There's a wonderful, one of the many books that Jiva Goswami wrote was, what's the title of the book? Madhava Mahotsava. Madhava Mahotsava means there's a festival for Madhava, and in the second half of the book is Radharani becomes queen of Vrindavan. And it's called Madhava Mahotsava. In the first half, they're supposed to meet, he's late, Radharani gets angry, Radharani goes away. Krishna finds that Radharani, there's many, many, many details, but Radharani goes away, and Krishna becomes so sad. Purnamasi is worried that Krishna may give up his life. No, he can't give up his life, but he may give up his life. So she goes searching for Radharani. She goes here and there. Finally, she finds a cabin in the middle of the forest. Radharani's inside the cabin. She's talking to herself and says, why do I get like this? I know who he is. He's this and he's that, and but I'm completely attached to him. So why do I get like this? She's amazed by Yogamaya's influence, and she gets like that. But she gets like that for Krishna's pleasure. There's no other reason for her to do anything than for Krishna's pleasure. And that's Radharani and her group. They talk back. They say sassy things. They say rude things. They say insulting things. And sometimes they don't do that. Sometimes, they talk nicely. But, it's an extreme kind of pleasure for Krishna. Right? Prabhupada, to explain this, Prabhupada gives the example of, what's his name? There's some British government officer that was governor in West Bengal for some time. Lord Macaulay, I think his name. Lord Macaulay. And Lord Macaulay, when he was back in the British, Empire, somebody went to see Lord Macaulay. They had an appointment. They waited for an hour, and he was busy. The secretary says when the secretary wasn't looking, after an hour plus, he snuck in. Lord Macaulay was on the ground and his hands and legs, and his grandchild was on his back playing horsey, slapping his grandfather. Giddy up, let's go. And it's enjoyment. More enjoyment than being Lord Macaulay, with pomp and ceremony and all those things. So like that, Krishna enjoys. When there's a loving intimacy, he enjoys those kinds of exchanges with his beloved gopis, headed by Radha Rani and her group. It's a different mood. And Chandravali would never do that. Last, literally the last, because it's late. It's 10 after.
Guru Maharaj, I wanted to hear from you about the mood of devotees in Vraj Dham today, because they think Krishna is still one of them, playing with them. And that's how, in my observation, they treat Kana, they call it. And very intimately, they talk about him as if they're still their friend. So rest of the world is very different than the mood of Brijvasis, even in today's time. Can you share something on that?
I haven't come across such devotees, and in part because Prabhupada advised us, and I took his words to heart, don't intimately associate with Brijvasis because you won't understand. They won't understand you and you won't understand them. Don't intimately associate. Because, in part there are some genuine Vaishnavas that have such a mood, and there's some pretender Vaishnavas that don't really have such a mood. And we don't have the acumen to make the proper discriminations between who's genuine and who's not. And so so for those that are genuine, the answer to your question is that they're genuine. That's just their mood of relationship. It's a spontaneous, pure mood of love for Krishna. Now, pure love in modern circumstances is hard to find, isn't it? It's hard to find. So whether it's in Vrindavan or anywhere else, it's hard to find pure anything. So because it's, for all those reasons, Prabhupada advised, in general, from the very get-go, don't intimately associate with the resident of Vrindavan, because you won't understand. He didn't elaborate. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki.